You are now listening to CTR Media Network.
The family. CTR Media Network. Yeah. Best in the biz. Yeah. Join the team. CTR is who we are, the media network, that's the best by far. Whether you listen at your home, at your job, in your car, come get the information that's needed above all. Never lasting, motivational podcasting, giving you the answers to the questions that you're asking. Serious talks and topics, how to come up and profit, how to better yourself, your health is here. We got it, reaching 350 million, they tuning in. We in 50 different countries, we all can. And like-minded, find your purpose and your assignment. Come get your fix, your feel, your mental alignment. Get active and speak to the masses. Build your influence all levels and all classes. Now you know you can monetize and grow. CTR Media Network. Start the show. CTR Media Network.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to CTR Media Network TV, where we help podcasters and entrepreneurs turn their message into a movement. Today's episode, we have in the building Jeff Revilla. He is the founder of Poduty Live LLC, an innovative podcast theater and event venue that's helping creators transform their shows into live, interactive experiences. And if you're ready, which I know that you are, CTR Media Network audience. Yes, our CTR riders. I know you're ready to grow your podcast through live events, community building, and smart digital strategies. Then this episode is definitely for you. And so without further ado, we're going to bring on the man of the hour. Yes, Mr. Jeff Revilla. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much. What an introduction. Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to our conversation here the next half hour.
Yes, I'm looking forward to this conversation as well, because like I told you before, podcasting is what I do. I absolutely love it. And I love meeting people that's within the industries that's doing the exact same thing, but took some ingenuity, some innovation on the way that they deliver or way that they do podcasting. And you're definitely one of those people that's been, very innovative. So Jeff, when you think about the world of podcasting, we often feel like it's a solo journey because we normally start off by ourselves podcasting. But what made you see the power of opportunity in going live?
Yeah, we're going to rewind about 10 years. There was a platform called Blab that came out around 2015, and the internet's kind of divided by people who know and were there for Blab, and they just missed it, or all they do is hear about people who were there. And it was this first 4-in-the-box live streaming service, and it had this amazing social element where you could go live, and within 2 to 3 minutes, 30 people would flood your room, and you'd be hanging out. I started doing a trivia show, and this idea that I could be in my basement hosting this global show with, people coming in from all over the world, Portland, Maine, or Portland, Oregon, Florida, Canada, everywhere. They're playing trivia with me while I'm sitting in my basement. And it's this crazy, interactive experience. And that became my first podcast. And it showed me that podcasting isn't just the MP3 file distributed over an RSS feed. It can be so much more. And you fast forward to look at what we're doing right now. I mean, we are live. You're recording from your home studio. I'm in a home studio. We have graphics flying everywhere. It's a pretty incredible thing that we can now do at a very high level. But we're doing it way more than just a solo podcast. Like you said, yes, you might start off by yourself trying to figure it out. How do I even record audio? I don't even know how to do, and then you put all these little pieces together, and then you take it out and you put it out into the world and see what happens.
Yeah, you're right. I feel like we do start alone, but the beauty of what podcasting is for me is when you start having the courage, the boldness to seek out and connect and collab with other people who are doing it. You start going into other rooms, going on other people's shows, and start that invisible connection from just the comfort of your home. I remember when I first started podcasting, people thought I had all this grandiose set up. I was literally in the corner of my bedroom in my lazy boy. Thought I was going to put a little ambiance, lit a candle, and was up there talking on my cell phone. I didn't have a mic. I was using my cell phone, right? And so who would have thought that it would grow to what we're doing now? And so when I think of you, like you said, I 100% agree with you, is that podcasting has evolved so much over the years that we involve more than just MP3, you know, and for those of you who don't know that jargon, that means audio. You can't see anything. All right. So now we're doing MP4, teaching you something. Video, that's how you seeing us with MP4. And so what made you decide that you was going to help not only do podcasting, but then after you did it, you said, okay, I'm going to go and help other podcasters really unlock this live podcasting, live events to help them grow their audience faster? Because you know that's a problem with podcasters. We want to grow, but how can we do it?
Yeah, it's one of those things that was almost like a perfect storm, because after Blab folded, I wandered the internet looking at, I tried Google Hangouts and Appear In and Hop In and all these other services, but nothing ever fulfilled what Blab delivered. And so I thought, well, what if I could just build a theater that fit in the back seat of my car, and then I could set it up anywhere. I didn't need walls or structure. I could go to a pavilion in a park or alongside the river at a walking trail and just interview people walking by, or house parties. I thought about like doing raging kegers in the basement and, you know, doing my trivia show and traveling and setting it up. So this idea of, I wanted to continue that connection and entertaining. And a friend of mine opened a coffee shop right around, I want to say March 30th, 2020. And so we had booked to do a night of live podcasting, and we're going to do free tacos and drinks and trivia. And unfortunately, you know, like March 27th, we were still like, maybe we could still have it. You know, maybe it's been 2 weeks since they shut down the world. And we had to end up canceling it. And during the pandemic, you know, you're stuck in your house, you're not really doing anything. Pennsylvania was really strict on restrictions. And I started doing all these virtual events. I met some great people through the Indie Pods United. I met great people, the women of Indie Pods. Sarah Bradford does this great autism summit that I produced like 4 events for her. And I started doing all these events virtually. And I'm just like, this is great. And I love it. But I don't want to be in my house forever. I want to get out. I want to get in front of people. I want to see somebody laugh and smile in front of me, even boo me or you know, throw something at me because they don't like that was a terrible joke. Don't say that again. Like, I just wanted interaction. I wanted feedback, and you really get that when you go live. You know, we're live now, and you know, if there's comments come in or likes, you start to see the likes pop up on the side. All that feedback feeds you and trains you and shows you how to make a better show. You know, if you're not getting any feedback, you know, stop doing what you're doing. If you're getting great feedback, do a lot more of it. And that's where I wanted to get to. So I wanted to start doing these live shows. My trivia show ended up getting picked up for television. So since 2020, in that same time period, this perfect storm, it's all coming together. I want to do live events. I want to do more video. TV starts to come in to, you know, pick me up to do the television show. Now I'm doing appearances. I'm like emceeing tug of war contests and stuff. Like, I'm doing all this like crazy things. And I just, this idea of this virtual theater, this infinite seat theater where I can, you know, my theater, if you look behind me, it's only 40 seats. It's not huge, but it's as big as Madison Square Garden because it's all built for live streaming. So I could have 20,000 people watching my little 40 seat theater, and I'm not restricted by the confines of my walls. It's I call it the concept is called the infinite seat theater. So that's where I wanted to get to. I wanted to build something that creators could come in without like tremendous risks. Like, if you want to do a podcast at a hotel, you got to rent a ballroom, and you know, and then you got to hire the catering and get the chairs set up and the tables and the wiring. That's thousands and thousands of dollars. Podcasters can't do that. So look at, what if we took these small spaces in these towns that were, you know, struggling. You know, I'm in the Rust Belt, Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh area. We have some struggling towns. There's good real estate. The infrastructure is already here. And what if we could take that whole concept of connecting the world and making this place like a central hub for doing that?
That was a great idea because at the end of the day, one of the main things that make the world better, in my opinion, is for us to improve what's already here and to expand our connection with people. Many times we get to the place where we're like, well, I don't know, I'm not doing people today. Well, guess what? We're built that we need that human interaction at some point. You're going to need somebody. You want to have some type of interaction. So podcasting for me, that is what it has done for me. Like, I grew up in a very small town. It enabled me to be able to connect with the world. And now you're telling me that you built this theater, which is one of the main, I would say, now that we're out post-COVID, more people want to get into studios, more people want to do things in person. But like you said, the overhead costs, they don't know how to work equipment. They don't know the nuances of even how to stream online. So for podcasters who are out there right now, who have been doing audio all this time, they want to transition into video like we're doing today. What do you think they should do before, and what is the first thing they should plan for before they even transition from audio to video?
Yeah, if you're just getting started, what you did is exactly the way I would describe how to start. I tell people you don't have to go out and spend hundreds and thousands of dollars on equipment. Chances are you have a way to record audio right now. You had a cell phone, right? You sat in your chair, you spoke into your cell phone. If you have a little laptop or an iPad, they make little plug-in microphones, $20 to $50. You can get something fairly decent that can record your audio. And the thing that I recommend is the most important thing when you're getting started is develop the process, because you have to do this next week too. And then you have to do it the week after too. So what you see is a lot of podcasters, they're afraid to start, right? They wait and they wait and they delay and they delay. And it takes them 6, 7, 8 months to record their first episode. And then they finally do it. And they're like, I did it. I finally did it. They're like, whew, that was such a, and then they release it and they're like, what are we going to do for week number 2? So you can record audio with the things that you have. Your first episode isn't going to be spectacular. Your 5th episode will be a little better. Your 10th will be better than that, because you're going to keep fine tuning and learning and figure out little things that make you a better host, a better podcaster. But you got to get started, and you have to build the process that enables you to repeat this week after week after week after week, or you will just burn out, because you can't spend 6 months producing every episode. You got to start turning this around. So I always say, figure out the formula, figure out the process, find the way to record with what you got now. Plus, probably when you started, there wasn't things like Adobe Podcast Beta and Levelator and all these like free tools that can almost give you a professional sound right out of the gate. So record that on your cell phone in the corner of a quiet room. There's enough free tools out there that'll fix all of that.
I 100% agree with you. Work with what you already have, drop the excuses, and move forward even when you don't have it all figured out. Yes, you write out the plan, but be willing to be flexible and adjust as you go. Because for me, podcasting was not just one straight line. It was something that I had to learn as I did it. I got better. Of course, I had a concept of what I wanted to do, what I wanted to accomplish, and all that good stuff like that. But you have an idea of who your audience is, but until the data really comes out and you see the numbers coming in, then you really see, well, I thought I was speaking to a woman audience, but I have 55% men. Okay, well, I need to have a little bit more content from a men, because they're tuning in to my show a little bit more than the women. They're like 43, but I have more men. So let me make sure I adjust it a little bit so that I can appeal to my wider base audience. So that's a whole different topic. But anywho, now when I'm thinking about what you're doing with podcasting, and for people who are currently podcasting now, for example, and they want to transition to what you're doing with your live theater, what are some suggestions on how they can flip their podcast into a small live or a small hybrid event? And how can they use what you do in order to assist them, because they don't want to go at it alone? You know what I'm saying? Because it can be nerve-wracking.
Yeah, I mean, I talk to people all over the world, and I say, I haven't found this business model anywhere. So like this is very new. So the chances of you having something exactly like this near you, it's probably slim. But there are plenty of places that have stages, and there are places you may not even think of. Like your local library probably has a media room or a room where they have office space or meeting rooms somewhere in the back. That you can have a little private session. You can probably rent the room for like $50. Coffee shops in the afternoon slow down. People already got their caffeine buzz for the day, and they're getting ready in between that lunch and dinner time when all the nighthawks come out. Those coffee shops would love to have people in there bringing additional audience and customers in the mid-afternoon. So approach these other places like bars and coffee shops and libraries, and even schools have theaters. There's places everywhere that you can go and set up your own. You don't have to find a podcast studio. There's other places like maybe comedy clubs that in your area, depending on how big of a club it is. Some clubs are a lot looser and have a wide open schedule. There are tons and tons of places that you can get started, and you don't need too much. You need some speakers, you need some microphones, you need a mixer. And if you have those things, you can project sound out into the void, right? You can have a show. Some mixers even have built-in recording, so you can just record right in the mixer. It's pretty easy. So you have a power source. And I mentioned a couple of spaces earlier, like community parks have stages. A lot of times they have like little clamshells or little pavilions. Run a pavilion. Don't just think of it as a place for birthday parties and graduation parties. Run a pavilion, maybe $75 to have a pavilion for a whole day. Record some shows out in the open, have some friends come out, make it a tailgating experience, make it a party, make it something special that they don't get to do every day. And you'll find places everywhere to start doing live podcasting. Once you get that little bit of equipment, and like I'll send you a picture for your show notes if you'd like. I have a picture of when I built the first thing to fit I wanted to fit in the backseat of my car, and it's a couple of speakers and a mixer and some mic stands, and you can fit that in the back of a sedan and take that anywhere and set it up.
Wow. I know for me, one of my friends, she lived in this very elite condominium, like just doctors, lawyers, the higher echelon. They live there, but they have all these little nooks and crannies that are there. Beautiful rooms already set up, and being that they live there, they have access to everything. And being that we're their friends and we have access to, guess what? I have access. So when they saw me in Florida, they was like, oh my God, she just got her brand new studio. I was like, nope. I am using this room. Yes, I'm traveling, interviewing, and this was just one of the beautiful locations that's inside of their condominium. So I never thought of that to be a temporary podcast place to interview. And I have actually used the public library as well. You are exactly right. Most libraries today have media rooms, and if you are local to the area, have a library card, you can get it for free. Some charge a little fee, but over here in South Carolina, we didn't have to pay a fee as long as you are a citizen in the county. So guess what? As long as you get on the books ahead of time, you can go in there and record and have that professional look and meet your guests. And it just creates the environment and feel of a live show, so it's very good. You gave some good pointers. Now, this is a topic that most people, all podcasters are starting to talk about monetization to the greater extent. Back in the day, you didn't hear too many people speaking too much about monetization. But now since they see all these podcasts going viral, they read the news about, this podcaster got $2.5 million. This one got this and that. So people are really thinking about it. So how can podcasters use their live shows, make it fun, because you're making it real fun, and some ways that they can monetize their live experience without having like a super huge audience?
Yeah, this is where it gets really crazy. This is where the math tells you that maybe there's something more to what I'm talking about than just having fun with some friends in a room. So I'm going to use stats from Buzzsprout, from Libsyn. These are podcast hosts, very well known, very well respected. They have access to server logs. and they will tell you 95% of shows do not reach 1,000 downloads in their first 7 days. So that's substantial. And that's important because when you want to go sell ad space on your podcast, ads are sold in CPMs, or cost per 1,000 downloads. So, and you get about $20 per 1,000 downloads. And if we know 95% of shows aren't really getting to that 1,000, the best case scenario is maybe $20 for a host read ad. There's other things you can do to tease that number up and play with it and add packages and email, but in a cost per 1,000 world, $20 per 1,000 is a pretty realistic. So if you divide that 1,000 downloads by $20, the cost to get one download, your profit is 2 cents per download. So just keep that in mind. So this MP3 file that you're releasing to the world, 1,000 people downloaded it, and you're going to get about $20, about 2 cents per listen. When you go to a place like I do, or you go to the library with a free room because you live in the area, and you sell, let's say you sell 5 tickets to your podcast, right? And you sell them for $10 a piece. Those 5 people that are watching your podcast are worth $50, right? That is, what's the math on that? 500 times more, or 1,000 times more, 250 times more valuable. I think that's even low. I think it's 2 times 50 times 5. I guess it's 250 times more valuable. It's substantial. The 5 people that are going to make 2.5 times more money than 1,000 people downloading. Do you see where this is going? This is why I believe if most podcasters aren't getting the Joe Rogan numbers or the million download numbers, I think we have to find another business model. And I really think these live performances are the way to go, a way to at least break even right out the gate. You can break even your first month with one event, could pay for your expenses for 6 months, really, when you think about it. And we know that podcasting live is becoming a thing. Like, we're seeing people come through town. We're seeing the podcasters come through town. We see people touring, the NPR's tour, the Joe Rogans, the Kill Tonys. They're filling Madison Square Garden and these other arenas because they're drawing that kind of audience. So podcasts are able to now fill theaters and fill arenas. The problem is, I'm at home in my home studio. It's safe, it's comfortable. I know I can come home, turn my computer on, and I'm going to sound great. And a lot of podcasters get to this point and they stop. Like, they don't go. Like, they want the money of the theaters and the arenas, but we're kind of boxed into our home studios. And what I'm trying to build and what I'm trying to show people is these middle live events somewhere between your home studio and Madison Square Garden. This is kind of that stepping stone to get there, because how else are we building the talent to fill those theaters? There's nothing in between. You just have to be a comedian or an actor or actress with a large following that can do it. Podcasters have to get a stepping stone. We have to find a way to get from our home studios to those large theaters. And when we start to think of live as a revenue model, as a different way to monetize our podcasts, this becomes something very, very different. It becomes very real, very fast, because not just 5 people buy tickets to your next show. What if it's 20 people? When it gets to 30 people, you don't have to have a ton of people to be making some serious money from live performances. Oh, I think you're still.
That is so true. That is so true. And one thing that I teach is, if these platforms are not monetizing you the way you want them to monetizing you, then you need to take it up and do it yourself. Okay. You need to do it yourself and collab and work with the right people. If you don't know how to do everything yourself, how to make a model of how you want to monetize your show. I tell people, think about your unique, whatever you bring to the table. What is it that you saw, that you experienced, that you lived, that you can actually rinse and repeat and duplicate it and make it an experience for the people? And so I 100% agree with you with live events, because we did an event. I have never did a live show with a live studio audience, but I always wanted to know how that felt. So I did it about 2 years ago. And oh my goodness, the feeling of a live show, when I walked in the room, because my staff kept me away from everybody until it was time for me to come out. When I came out, I'm very emotional. Like, you can see if I like some, if I don't, I'm very animated. That's the best word. I'm animated. Like, when I came in that room and all those people were standing up, clapping, I'm like, I was like, okay, because we know people watch our shows, they listen to our shows, but it's a whole different scenario when you're actually putting a face to the views that you have no name. And if you have never experienced this as a podcaster, don't be afraid. Go ahead and do it. You don't have to have a big grandiose thing. My first event that I did, we had about 50, 55 people, and that was a lot to me. My friend said, this ain't nothing but a little birthday party, girl. This ain't nothing. This ain't nothing. I was like, it's something to me. I'm like, oh, I don't know. But it was just amazing, right? And so when I see what you're doing with your background, well, not your background, your actual theater, it is amazing. And the experience that you have, the real connection that you have, not only with the guests, because it does something different with the synergy when you have it in a studio audience versus you just talking, right? So I just like, wow, when I'm thinking about how you're doing it, I'm like, I'm ready for people like to duplicate the franchise or do whatever it is so it can come over here in South Carolina so I can so I can be a part of it. So when I'm thinking about engagement and community building, because I can really see how you're big with those two factors. And Paduty seems like it exemplifies those two words very good. So what are you thinking your superpowers are in turning them listeners into loyal fans? And how can we as podcasters or TV hosts reciprocate the kind of community feel that we want to create, that you create with Paduty?
Yeah, a couple things. One, we didn't really expect this, but one thing that we've seen since we've launched this and we assign a date, we start building out the landing page. For most people, they say, hey, I have a podcast. They tell their friends, they tell their family, and you might get some sympathy downloads, or they might say that they're listening, or there's just something off a little bit about when you're passionate about something and you're trying to bring in friends of it doesn't really always resonate. It's almost more the strangers, the people who have similar interests tend to resonate with your online podcast more. But what we found out is when you book a date and you say, hey, we're celebrating our 20th episode next month. We're going to be live on the main stage at the Poduty Podcast Theater doing our 100th episode or whatever it's going to be. That instantly gives a level of credibility to your show that I haven't seen work with anything else. When now all of a sudden your friends are like, wait, what? You're going to be on a main stage at a theater? And your family's like, oh, we're going to come to that. All of a sudden, the level of credibility performing live, it gives, just like that person who bought a ticket has so much more value than the person who downloaded it. The people who hear that you're on a main stage it gives your podcast so much more value than just go ahead and subscribe on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, right? It really builds this level of credibility that you just can't get anywhere. And some of the things you mentioned too, and I quote Tony Robbins too, because he'll say when he gets off stage, he is juiced. He uses the word juice. He is juiced. Like, you are pumped. Sometimes I don't sleep for like 4 or 5 hours because I just had so much fun. I'm meeting all these people. And part of going into the show is that community environment. Like, if you were to just listen to my voice without watching this video, one, you'd never guess what I could look like. You'd have no idea guessing exactly what I looked like. But when you see me on stage and you watch me think and how I react and the facial expressions I'm making, and you get a whole new perspective of how that podcast is made, how that host thinks, and just the inner workings that you get to see how the sausage is made. Some people say you get to see how it all comes together to become that audio show you listen to on your morning commute. And then afterwards, you get the meet and greet. There's handshakes, there's high fives, there's thank you for doing this. This was a great night out. I would have just sat at home watching Matlock, but now I'm here listening to your podcast. This is I'm having a great time. thank you for doing this. And your episode a couple weeks ago gave me some great ideas, and I built a birdhouse or something, something, whatever you talked about. So you get this whole other level that you don't get, and seeing the faces, shaking hands, it's incredible. It's so powerful to be able to be in front of people, and you end up building this little micro community all on your own.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. So, and I'm just hearing you speak, and it's like I'm tracking back to that moment. Now, since then, I have done many live things in person, but it will never be like that first time, because that was a time where I had most fear, most anxiety, all the different things, and then it still turned out okay. And it just, I would encourage anyone that can do it. And so, with that being said, someone might be listening, watching this podcast right now, and they're like, okay, I've been thinking about it. Now I hear Jeff talking about it. Now I hear Tina talking about it. I'm going to take that plunge. So what small change can a podcaster make for their show to the pivot to a live show to increase their audience interaction? And how can they use some of the pieces or the nuances that we just discussed to bring that to their show to create that loyal fan base that keep coming back for more?
Yeah, I say think about it. I say, if you haven't done video yet, if you hadn't even added video to your audio podcast, the amount it took you to figure out audio for your podcast, the next step of adding video isn't that much greater than what you had to do to figure out audio. So as a fail safe, as maybe a way to get a backup, just start recording the video of the room. Maybe it's you and your co-host, maybe it's a single camera, the whole room, and you're capturing audio, maybe just as a backup in case your other recording fails. It's not a much bigger step. It's not a big incremental step to add video. And when you start doing that, now you get to see yourself on camera. You get to see how you perform. Like, you get to see I'm playing with a pen this whole time, and like I'm not clicking it, so you won't have to clean that up in editing. But like, you do things that you don't even know that you're doing, and you start to envision like how this would become a show for the stage. And you think in that term. You think about, how do I keep this moving, right? How do I get past my mistakes? How do I get past my hangups? The most important thing about a live show, I tell people, is if you make a mistake, I promise you, you're the only one in that room that knows you made a mistake. To everybody else, it's just part of the show. So if you have like a little intro and you skip a paragraph, nobody knows. If you said the word wrong that you had planned, I was going to say it this way and I said it that way, nobody knows. So as long as you stay professional, as long as you keep the show moving, you are the only one who knows. Now, you can go back at the end, just like sports players do. They review the tape, see what went wrong, what went right. You'll do that because especially if you're the editor, you'll do that 50 times when you're editing the show. You get to hear it over and over again. But you'll get this perspective of watching yourself, watching the recording, and just learning how to keep the show moving. Like, we haven't had any breaks, any stops. Like, the conversations kept flowing. This is kind of what you're looking for. How do you keep that show moving in a way that's engaging for the hosts, the guest, and that'll be engaging for the people watching at home too?
Exactly. And I just say, just get comfortable with having a conversation. And so that's just for me. I just love meeting new people. I'm very inquisitive. I like to know and learn more different things. And so when I saw what you've done, or what you are doing, not done, what you are doing, I'm like, ooh, I never heard of that before. A theater for podcasting. Oh my goodness. Now, I love acting and stages and all of that. And why didn't I think of that? So I'm like, that's absolutely amazing. And so I love what you do. And if I'm ever in the area and you guys are open, I'm going to swing on by, because I want to get the real life experience. But from your experience, because I know that podcasting, even if you're doing the live streaming, that's part of the digital marketing industry, dealing with live shows and stuff like that. So as the expert that you are, what tips can you give a podcaster or maybe a streamer to help them grow right now? Something that they can do that's small. Okay, not too overwhelming.
Yeah, even though it's a video medium, if you're just talking live streaming,
Mhm.
the best thing you can do is work on your audio. The other things are a little more forgiving. The lighting is a little more forgiving. The positioning of the camera is a little more forgiving. But if your audio is bad, nobody's going to stick around at all. If you put a condenser mic in the center of a room and have 6 people talking around it, no one's going to watch that. That's a problem. That's something that you need to work on. If you're going to do live streaming and video, make sure you have the audio dialed in. Audio is so much more important for your video than the actual video is. The other stuff will come, but don't start putting it out in the world until you know that you have the audio right. Make sure you're mic'd properly, that you're getting the proper channels, you're controlling, you're able to adjust the volume for each microphone. Headphones are a big part of that too. Make sure you don't have to pump the sound back in for everybody to hear. They're all in the same room. If they have earbuds, like I'm wearing earbuds, you can barely tell. Those things are important to keeping the sound quality high. And that's how you keep people watching a video, is with good audio.
You do, and you need to learn how, if you can't do some of that stuff, learn how to use that mute button so you won't have all that extra sound in the back if you're not that technical. You're right. Sound quality is very important, because even if you're saying some great information that can truly help people, they're going to be distracted by all the different things that's going on. So they will lose their focus, and they have so much content that they can watch today. They'll just simply scroll up, scroll left, scroll, they would just keep moving. And so the thing is, we want them to stay on your video, stay on your audio for the entire time. I want to ask you this question. If someone, because I know a lot of people watch our shows, we have entrepreneurs, we have business owners, we have podcasters, streamers, and all this stuff like that. But we also have people that are on the fence about they want to start that podcast. They've been saying they're going to start that podcast. We going into year 2. They still haven't started. So what would be the thing that you would say that can potentially encourage them to take the leap, stop being so afraid, to go live and start planning that first event that can actually help them, jump the hurdle, so to speak?
Yeah, the advice that I figured out on my own back in 2015, when I spent years deciding if I wanted to do a podcast or not. I'm from Pittsburgh. I tend to speak fast and make all my words one sentence, and nobody knows what the heck I'm saying half the time. And I learned that the only person thinking about me and how I sounded, because I didn't want to I don't want to hear my voice. Nobody wants to hear my voice on camera or see my face. I have that face for radio, they say. And you don't want all those things were me. The only one thinking about my voice and how I looked, that was me. Other people have, I say they're getting the kids to soccer practice, or they got bills to pay. But for whatever reason, maybe they chose to listen to my trivia show to escape for 30 minutes. My only job is to deliver on what they were looking for. If they were looking for 30 minutes of entertainment or me being goofy with my trivia games, like those are things that's my responsibility. They chose me for a reason. They're not thinking about how I sound or how I look. And that took me years to understand that no one cares. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean nobody's thinking about you the way you're thinking about you. And I let that hold me back. And I really regret not starting and jumping in sooner. So do it. You won't regret starting this, even if you only do 4 to 5 episodes. And I dipped my toe in it. It was fun. I had a good time, but maybe it's not for you. But you did those 4 to 5 episodes. You became a little bit better of a speaker. You became a little more confident on camera. And maybe that little experience is what propels you to the next experience. But you won't have any of them if you don't start. If you're hung up on yourself and how you sound and how you look, you'll never go anywhere.
Well, my question to you, and probably what everyone else that's watching and listening to this podcast episode is thinking, how can we get the Poduty.com effect? How can we experience what you do?
Yeah, well, if you're in Pittsburgh, stop by. I'll give you a tour. And if you're stopping by, book a date. Would like to have you. We'll put up the show for you, so when you're in town, you could do your own show. so that when you get off stage, you'll be juiced as well. So, reach out to me. It's jeff@paduty.com. You can email me. I talk like this, whether I'm on camera or not. I do, 3 to 4 interviews a week. And I'm also doing like 3 to 4 calls where people are just really curious about the business model, the idea, how they can take this to their town. Because what I really see happening is just like comedy clubs serve comedians all around the country. Things like this that's behind me, podcast theaters like this are going to start serving podcasters in a live environment all over the country, so that I can go from Pittsburgh to Cleveland to Louisville to South Carolina and do a little tour on a weekend and come back home, a couple $100 in my pocket. I had a good time. I increased my reach. I made new connections, and these little clubs for podcasting are going to pop up, and people are going to do this more and more often. This will become a segment of entertainment that you'll see in your hometown probably within 5 years.
I totally agree with you, because it's not going anywhere. Radio, podcasting is just another form of what's began with radio. And now that we are transitioning into this digital age where everything is available readily for us with streaming, with social media and all of this, I feel like it's only going to get better. It's only going to expand, and more independent producers, content creators, we're going to need spaces. Okay. We're going to need places to go. We're going to need people like you who have already thought it through, and we just come use the venue, because sometimes the venue part gets a little sketchy. We're like, oh, I could do the show, but how am I going to even do this or do that? And so I think what you're doing and the business model that you have created is going to, yes, I could see it being that venue that we, as personalities, some of them call us that, we'll be able to travel, and our fans will be able to connect and support us in different ways in a live venue. Again, I would just like to say your idea is just ingenious on what you brought theater and podcasting together. Never thought about it, but love both worlds, but never thought about bringing them together. And how you're doing it, and also teaching us get over, like with me, I'm Southern through and through. You will hear it in my voice from time to time, the Southern twang. It's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. And that was my hang up for a very long time. I tried everything to get rid of it, from looking on the camera. I didn't like the way I looked on my camera. So all those things that list you went down, I'm like, did he have a camera in here? Because he just went through all of my excuses of the reason why I shouldn't podcast, the reason why I should not transition from audio to video. And at the end of the day, I can tell you how I feel at the end of the road. Listen, it is absolutely amazing. It is absolutely amazing. And you're going to get better. And it's people who love the little quirks about you, your Southern twang, or the way you speak fast, or the way you look. It's your people. You'll find your people. They love you the way that you are. Okay? We get out of your head. So if anything else you would like to say to the audience that you did not say, and any events that you're having right now that you would like to share with our viewing and listening audience?
Yeah, I say dates and deets at paduty.com, PODUTY.com. We have magicians, we have podcasts, we have meetups in Pittsburgh. We do global meetups. We are doing our Padutifest, which is a 2-day event in September. So if anybody likes to submit their show to be a part of that festival, we turn over the stage every 30 minutes. So a new podcast takes the stage for 2 days straight. We just bring in new podcast experience, expose new podcasters to new audiences, and just celebrate each other, celebrate podcasting, celebrate the friends and connections we made in this industry, and just have a great 2-day event. It's in September 27th and 28th this year.
Oh, that sounds good. That's during Podcast International time, because we have our own holiday. People didn't know that. Podcasters, we have a whole international day to celebrate podcasting. Yes, we have a holiday too.
This is kind of the kickoff to International Podcast Day. We used to, for the years leading up, it was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. but then last year it was a Monday. In the fall this year, I think it's a Tuesday. So in order to keep the momentum going and still do this on a weekend for 12 hours, we started to do our own event called Padutifest, which is the lead up to International Podcast Day. So hopefully you'll see people everywhere that weekend, really just out there podcasting, having fun, supporting each other.
Sounds great. Sounds great. And thank you for sharing all of your information. Thank you for giving us these tips and strategies in order for our viewing audience that happen to be podcasters or streamers or on the fence to understand how to monetize, how you can actually start doing that, actually giving us the numbers on like what is a CPM, what is not, how much you're really going to make. It's about $20. So you need to figure out something a little bit better, and giving them tips on how to get different places to do their podcast if they choose to do a live show. So I appreciate you so much, and thank you for being a featured guest on CTR Media Network TV. You guys go download the app today. Yes, yes, yes. I got to do my spiel. You can see our show on Roku TV, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV. We have a web app as well, Android TV, iOS, to download it on your cell phone or Google Play. You can also listen to us on any podcasting platform or the major ones, as well as social media. Today, we had the amazing Jeff Revilla, and he helped us to grow our podcast with his expertise of live events. If you have not thought about this is your okay moment to go ahead and push through. Again, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week, same time, same place. Have an amazing day. Talk to you later. Bye.
Here's why you need to tune in right now. With CTR Media Network, you can transform your knowledge into a fully produced TV show. Imagine your content streaming on platforms like Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and Amazon Fire TV, reaching over 350 million households in 140 countries. We take care of everything, from managing your ready-to-go content to global distribution. And it's not just any content, it's edutainment, a perfect blend of education and entertainment that keeps viewers coming back for more. You'll join a vibrant community of thought leaders, podcasters, and educators, all sharing a passion for impactful content and global reach. Plus, with our app available on Google Play and the App Store, your show will be accessible to millions more, ready to shine on the global stage. Let's get you started. Schedule a 15-minute call with us today and turn your idea into a TV sensation. Reply to this video by saying, "I want to learn more." Don't wait, your audience is out there waiting.